Hello and welcome to a demonstration of the equity accumulator. Today we're going to go over a presentation that is designed to give you an understanding of the basic concepts of how the equity accumulator works and how it will benefit you. To start with, we're going to walk you through a 30-year fixed mortgage, help you to see how that mortgage is structured. We're going to be using a $200,000 mortgage with a 6% 30-year fixed rate, and the monthly payment is $11.99. What we want you to understand here is that the interest on a 30-year mortgage is paid mostly in the beginning years of the loan. In other words, as you can see here, on a 30-year mortgage in month one, $1,000 is going to interest and less than $200 is going to the principal. As you move forward on this loan, you'll see that the principal starts to move up a little bit, the interest starts to go down. But the bottom line is we want you to understand is that in a 30-year fixed mortgage, the vast majority of your monthly payment is going to the interest. If we get to year one, you notice it gets a little bit lower here. Year five, again, now we're up to $267 is going to the principal, $931 is going to interest. And this is the point that, if I sit with clients and I ask them at what point do you think the majority of your money, or a much larger amount of your money is going to principal, most of them will tell me in year five. And as you can see, that's not the case. Year 10 it gets a little better, and this is what I find amazing. If you look at this is a 30-year mortgage. We're in the 21st year now of a 30-year mortgage, and we're only halfway done. Whereas you borrowed $200,000, and after 21 years, you're only halfway done paying the loan off. If you continue to pay on this mortgage for the full 30 years, which is 360 payments, you will pay to the bank a total of $431,000. That's $231,000 in interest, or 116% of the original amount you borrowed. In other words, you borrowed $200,000, but after 30 years, you've paid back to the bank $231,000 in interest, which is 116% of the original amount borrowed. This next example here is just designed to help you to understand how impactful making prepayments to the mortgage can be. In other words, in this case here, we're going to show you where in the very first payment of the loan, we're going to come in here and we're going to make an additional $5,000 principal payment. In other words, the borrower just happens to have $5,000 sitting around, and they're going to go ahead and send that $5,000 as a principal payment only to the mortgage company as their very first payment. So their very first payment is going to include the original principal and interest payment plus an additional $5,000. Now, so what is that going to do for us? How much does that save us? Well, obviously, the $5,000 you gave them is going to reduce the loan amount by $5,000. The interest rate and the payment are going to stay the same because this is a fixed rate loan. But now, instead of paying the original 360 months on this loan, you're down to 337 months. And if you look here, instead of paying the original $231,000 in interest to the lender, you're only going to pay them $203,000 in interest, which gives you a gross savings of $28,000. In other words, you sent the lender $5,000, you just saved $28,000. Now, just in case you want to net out the $5,000 you gave to the lender, you're still going to have a net savings, a total savings of $23,000. So in this particular case, you sent $5,000, you saved $23,000. So let's see the components of the program. In other words, what makes it work? What do I need and how do I make this work? First off, you need installment or revolving debt. In other words, you have to have some sort of debt you're paying off. It doesn't have to be only a mortgage. It can be a mortgage, credit cards, car loans, student loans, whatever it is, as long as you have some type of debt you're going to pay off. You need a home equity line of credit. This is an open-ended loan. An open-ended loan is, in other words, the bank will allow you to make multiple deposits each month and adjust the principal balance each time you make a deposit. An open-ended loan is very similar to a credit card. In other words, you can deposit money into the line, you pay it down, and then you can draw the money back out. And you can do that as many times as you want per month, and the bank will adjust the interest each time you do that. And then you need the equity accumulator software, which is where we come in and we'll provide you with the software.